Does Janeway voice Flemeth?
Yeah.
Really?
Who is that?
Yeah.
I don't know what the actress's name is.
That's the actress from Star Trek Voyager. Sorry, Zach. That would be old Star Trek. Welcome, everybody, to a special edition of Random Encounter. This is the Dragon Age 2 demo episode. I'm your host, Robert Steinman, Pale Robbie on the boards. Joining me today, we have the newsman.
It's Zack, Pintchik, Superflat on the boards.
One of the Dragon Age 2 haters, and then in the other corner, another Dragon Age 2 hater.
I'm Stephen Meyerink, Taylor on the boards. I'm not a hater.
I'm not a hater
Don't
either,
player
Rob.
hate on me.
Sorry. There's just so much anger
Blind
and vitriol.
fanboyism is something I am familiar with.
Oh,
but not in this series.
Don't know what you're talking about. So we're here to talk about the Dragon Age 2 demo that's come out for all of the consoles, Xbox 360, PS3, and, of course, the PC version. We're going to talk about that, and then we're going to have a news section. So this is just kind of a special edition episode. We just wanted to get our thoughts out there because it seems that everybody has thoughts on Dragon Age 2 right now. So I think Zack should kick it off with his thoughts.
I should kick it off?
Dragon Age 2. I think you should. Should.
I can do that.
And then allow me to retort.
Okay.
Will allow me to
I
retort.
think my opinion of the game is coming straight from playing Dragon Age 1. Like that's what I've been playing recently. And so the gist that I got is, generally speaking, for Dragon Age 2, they tried to Mass Effect it. Which is not, I don't say that in a bad way. I love Mass Effect 2, but it seems like just generally they have streamlined the game for consoles in a way that has been detrimental to the PC release. And so what I mean by that is I find that, and for those of you who are wondering, I've played the Dragon Age 2 demo on the PC and the Xbox, so I have a little bit of experience with both, and I'm playing Dragon Age 1 on the PC. I've found that the combat is a little bit more fast-paced in Dragon Age 2, which can be good, but I've found it to be, at least on the PC version, kind of detrimental. Basically what I found was playing as a mage, for example. You know, it's not so necessary in Dragon Age 1 when you're controlling your mages to have them auto-attacking the nearest character, or it's more about a very tactical deployment of your spells, making sure that you have the crowd control going on, making sure that you have the damage dealing, you're dealing damage in the right places. In Dragon Age 2, and granted it's a demo, and what we've seen of it is only a very small portion of the game. It seems that they tried to make mages play more of like an action character sort of role. So like you constantly have your cooldowns on your spells going off, and I found it really almost difficult to manage kind of who was doing what at the same time. I played as a rogue on the PC and on the Xbox, and on the PC I found it kind of annoying to have to right click on the different enemies to have the auto attack go off. Granted, that's because I was like trying to play it without pausing, which is really not how you play Dragon Age. But at the rate that the enemies die in the demo, it's really, you're jumping between a lot of enemies.
So the auto attack bothered you on the PC,
it didn't.
It didn't bother you to just keep on pressing the attack button. For people that don't know, just real quick, in the demo for the consoles, and I played both console and PC. I did the same thing. On the console version, they took out the auto attack button. So now you have to sit there and attack people. For the purposes of this demo, you have to keep on pressing the attack button. And I found that to be extremely boring. like just
I
kind of
agree.
mindless.
I was going to say, I agree. I think that was done on purpose, too. I think they took it out because they want people to play it and go, oh, this is an action game. I want to play it because it's an action game.
That's
I think
definitely...
that was a calculated... I think it was a calculated decision.
I mean, on my experience with that is that I actually kind of enjoyed more on the... I played a rogue and a mage on the Xbox, and on the rogue side of it, and this kind of plays into what I was talking about, how I didn't like clicking on the individual characters in PC. There's auto-targeting for that attack. And so it is kind of mindless, but it does kind of work a little bit more. You know, I can just keep hitting A on the console and be like, you know, I'm doing my rogue combo, which the animation never changes up. And then once the cooldown on my backstab, you know, is done, I can just pop backstab, shoot behind the guy, and then at the very beginning of the demo, when you know you're all super powerful and stuff, the dude just explodes into a million pieces.
Okay. Now, this is going to be interesting because for me, I played the console version first, the first night it was out. And I was sitting there playing it, and it was like all the fears had come true. I'm just attacking I'm just using the X button because I'm playing on PS3. It feels like Dynasty Warriors. It just feels like I'm slogging through enemies with lots and lots of health. I don't feel the impact of what I'm doing. I'm a big-time action gamer. Like, I play a lot of Devil May Cry. I play a lot of God of War. So if you don't come at me with that kind of action, it's a snooze fest for me. So I found the combat on the console to be kind of boring, and you know, I was moving around and I could pause and I could use the radial menus and I was using backstab like you said, but I really wasn't feeling it. Then I went and I played it on PC today, and to me, it's Dragon Age. Like, it plays just like Dragon Age. Everything feels exactly the same. Granted, you can't pull the camera back as much, but I was swapping between characters. I was moving around. I was, popping off, a backstab here. And I found that I was really focused on the positioning of my character, the positioning of Hawk around the battlefield, because you could get swarmed so quickly. So I was really making use of those skills to keep moving. And I was really enjoying it. Like, to me, it was just a faster version of Dragon Age.
Yeah,
like
and
I agree with that too.
I agree with that there. The one thing, a pretty concise way to sum up my thoughts on the PC demo, at least, is that it's an action game. It's Dynasty Warriors, let's say, style, because there's so many enemies, which I'll get to in a minute. But it's an action game that has the controls of Dragon Age Origins.
On the consoles.
I think on the PC is more what I was getting at. Like, it seemed to me like it was an action. Like, I really kind of had a hard time managing I don't know. I mean, this is part of it is that I'm still playing through Dragon Age Origins. I'm still kind of like working within the bounds of that, like more kind of slower paced, slightly more tactically oriented, it seems, gameplay. But I think that it's the mouse and keyboard is too imprecise for what they want you to do in the game.
I really couldn't disagree more. And then I want to get Steven in after I make this point. I mean, Zach, I hear your argument, but I really couldn't disagree more. I felt right at home. Now, granted, I have 130 hours of Dragon Age under my belt, so but I definitely felt right at home when I was playing it. I felt like I was playing. I felt like everything was good to go. I felt, like I was clicking on enemies, and I really had a lot of control in where I was going. I felt like I had more control than I had in Dragon Age 1. Now, I think the game is definitely faster, and, the cooldown periods are really quick, and so you can, if anything, it feels like the wheels could come off the wagon even faster than the original Dragon Age in that sense, and you could end up dead really fast. But to me, it's exactly what they said they wanted to do. They wanted to make a game where you didn't have I'm going to click my rogue behind an enemy and watch him take 3 minutes to kind of prance around and then start backstabbing. No, he just drops a smoke grenade, peers right behind him, and splits his head open. And hey, if that's the crowd that they're going for, if they're trying to reach the Mass Effect or Gears of War crowd with that, I'm okay, because honestly, it made the game more interesting. I mean, the action felt fast.
So I agree that they've they've made these changes to the game that really eliminate a lot of the issues that people had with Dragon Age Origins, and the rogue new backstab thing is pretty awesome to get them behind the character. I don't know, are there here's a question, are there backstabs in the game? Because I was paying attention to this when I started playing rogues today, but
I read the skill trees because somebody did like a great write-up of the skill trees on the BioWare forum. Now what it is like if somebody's not actively engaged with the rogue, you can get a skill for the rogue that gives you pluses to hit. But you can't – it doesn't seem like you can just get your rogue behind somebody and just have them backstab somebody into oblivion, which I think is a good thing because the backstab was so ridiculously overpowered in the original game. If you had a good tank who could just sit there and take punishment all day, the rogue could just go around picking people off left and right, and you really only needed 2 characters to get through almost anything.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that I would say is part of the strategy, and I don't think it's a terrible loss that backstabs are like out now and are now just like a skill. But my problem with the game is how they've seemed to have balanced it, at least as far as the demo goes. This may be kind of cured on a more like on a higher difficulty setting, but it seems like they've thrown in a lot of enemies, a lot of like dead weight enemies that you can just easily breeze through. With little regard to the tactical positioning. And part of this I read on, I think it was one of the I think it might have been Mark Laidlaw or one of the guys on the BioWare forums posted the general kind of requirements that you'll need for each difficulty setting. So like for instance on easy you can suboptimally manage one character in your party and you'll be able to play through the game. And then on your normal difficulty setting, you have to optimally manage one character, and you'll be fine. And then once you get up to hard, it's suboptimally manage your party. And then once you get up to nightmare, which is where they add friendly fire in, you have to optimally manage your whole party. And I think that's part of what you're missing in the demo. I don't know, I don't know how they're gonna balance that, especially when you have. They had, in the opening
the
fight,
absolute menagerie of people that attack you.
Yeah, there were probably like 20 people in the opening fights, and granted that's when you're super powered and like can cut through 10 dudes at a time. But there's something that I really have an aversion to when it comes to this more, numbers oriented balance to the difficulty.
Yeah, I mean,
and I
go ahead, Steven.
I think too, like the more I think about it, the less I would like to play it on a console because I would play it on Nightmare just because I want to get that experience of having to actually manage my party and not just mash on attack buttons. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that with the number of enemies and with having to switch characters on console, it's just targeting is an absolute nightmare because your other characters will auto attack something else because of aggro. And you could have, 10 guys on the screen, and unless you want to pause and sit there and scroll through enemies to find the one you want, it's just an absolute nightmare. I mean, when I was fighting the boss at the end of the chapter, at least 10 times I had to select my party and have them restart attacking the ogre again because they'd go off and hit one of the 50 million little dudes coming up. And, forget about targeting it in real time. There's no way you could get by that fight without pausing to retarget the ogre.
It's just one thing that real quick. It seems like the game is balanced to play on consoles on normal difficulty, which good for them for if they've done that successfully. Like you just have to kind of manage your one dude, but then it really just makes me wonder why it's not some action game. Like why it is still Dragon Age.
Sure, I guess. I'm remembering playing Dragon Age through on the hardest difficulty. I think it was like my 3rd time through. And what I noticed was that you wanted to take out the little guys first before you took out the big guy. Because you could take out the little guys, the little enemies rather quickly, and that would make it easier for you to focus on the big guys. So that's what I did in the demo.
That's what I did as well.
And it felt natural. Now, I agree with Zach. I mean, they are throwing just an absolute cluster of enemies at you. And it didn't bother me too much. It did feel like a lot of enemies, but the combat was over very quickly. It didn't really bother me too much. I would say this. To me, playing it on PC, I felt right at home. I felt like I was playing Dragon Age 1 again.
I think it's cool that they're trying to bring this game to the consoles, and it seems like they're really trying. Like they want to do right by the console audience. That's great. Hopefully they get a good response. But playing the 2 demos of the game, I mean, it just completely confirmed I'm playing this on PC. Like
I agree completely.
It's not even an option. Like if you can play Dragon Age 2 on a system, I don't see how you can choose anything other than PC. It feels easier. It looks better.
You have so much more control, and you need to work less to get that control.
Yeah. And I mean, that doesn't mean that the console versions are going to be bad. And again, we're playing a small snippet of the final product, but it just confirmed everything that I thought. I'm here and I'm going to play it on the PC. I'm glad I bought my new PC. So there we go.
I mean, like, I certainly don't think it's a bad game, and I don't want people to think that, like, by any stretch of the imagination. But there's something about the way it plays that I am slightly apprehensive about. I mean, first of all, I'm going away for 4 months where I won't have my PC, so I'm not even going to be able to pick it up when it comes out. So, I'll be waiting for that Steam sale, that eventual Steam sale. But
oh yeah,
but at the same time, like, I'm going to be really interested to see. I don't even know if it's interesting anymore, because I mean, like we've already seen, like, I've now played the console version, and it seems like they've successfully consolified it, as opposed to the kind of messy game that was Dragon Age Origins on the PS3 and the Xbox. And like, kudos to them. They've certainly done a good job with the graphics and making sure that there's a pretty smooth frame rate on the consoles. Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of the new style that they have, but it's certainly not bad. It's better than I thought, especially once you get out of that opening area.
I think the opening area is they were trying to go for something that, it's that minimalist design, and like taking away, these lush forests and really making the emphasis on the characters. And I know what they were going for. I don't think it worked. I mean, we've been saying this back when they first showed the game in those Game Informer screens. I mean, that's what we're playing. So I don't think that minimalist approach works. But then when you get out of there and you get to Kirkwall, I mean, it looks fine. Like, so I think the opening area, it's not putting its best foot forward with that opening area.
But you know what, though? Historically, BioWare has terrible opening dungeons. I mean, both KOTOR games had horrible opening dungeons. Both Baldur's Gate games had horrible opening dungeons. Both Icewind Dales.
Yeah, I just don't feel like they're... And plus, the other thing, we haven't even talked about this, is the whole other aspect of Dragon Age, which is the role-playing. And it is Mass Effect. I mean,
I don't like the character voices. Just gonna go ahead and say
I was actually about to say, I don't like that they changed the amount of control you have over what you say, but I think they succeeded in making it similar to Mass Effect. But I like that they go with a different tack to it. It's not the good or evil option. It's this is the badass option. This is the slightly snarky option. And, I think the writing is good.
Yeah, I thought Hawk's. We're going to get to the writing in a second, but I think I liked Hawk's voice, male and female. I liked them both. I thought that both characters carried themselves with, a lot of gravitas. I mean, they don't come across sheepish. I've never liked male Shepard. I've never liked
really?
I've never liked
male Shepard.
What's that?
That sounds pretty weird out of context.
I really don't like Shepard's male voice. I think the female Shepard is awesome, but the male Shepard always just strikes me as like a bad Star Trek performance. Like he just, compared to the other voices around him, he just sounds like bored.
And I've heard people say that too, and I don't agree. I think male Shepard sounds awesome. I think he gives it kind of that really like tongue-in-cheek air to it. Like, I mean, whenever he says some of the sarcastic comments or I mean, she sounds hilarious when he says them.
See, I feel like he has one note. I feel like he has one note and he just plays it the whole time. Like whether it's Renegade or Paragon, I feel like he's just playing one character, one note, like one emotion the whole way through.
The issue that I had was more when it came to the purple smiley face options. So let's just go over the new Mass Effect style wheel is not just Mass Effect. It has options. It kind of has that similar idea of like nicer options are on the top right of the wheel, and more aggressive options are on the bottom right, or on, I guess, top and bottom generally. But there's this there's generally an option for sarcastic, like snobby sarcastic, and it reminds me of what they did in Alpha Protocol. So good cribbing on that. But
I like it.
I think that the sarcasm is so.
I almost always went with them.
Really, I found them to be so just like incredibly cliched, and just the delivery was just like almost snobbish in how sarcastic. I don't know. It just made me really not like the character.
And see, I liked it. I kind of liked it. Maybe that says more about me, but I liked Hawk's character. I thought the writing. I think this leads us right into the next point. Did we talk about it on the show? I think we only talked about it in the pre-show warm-up for the last episode, that I really didn't like, based off the trailers, the kind of increase in the crass tone of the game. And I know this is a weird thing to pick on, like the fact that people...
No, I completely agree with you. I don't think it's weird at all to pick on, considering that they kind of went for a little more highbrow type of writing in the original, and now it's more like R.A. Salvatore, like, bitches and hoes kind of fantasy. And
yeah, it feels really well. We're just describing it. I mean, we're not going to get too far into it, but it feels really awkward, like to hear a character say bitch or to say BS. It feels weird, especially considering the original game's tone. It isn't as bad, and I said this on the forums, it isn't as bad as Prince of Persia Warrior Within, like where it feels just so out of place compared to the original, but it's still getting there. Like it just... Yeah. I hope that they reel that in.
See, I don't think they're going to. And I think one of two things is going to happen. Either it's going to be like that the whole game, and they did it on purpose to get people, who wouldn't normally play these kind of games to play them. Or I think it's just in that particular demo area, again, to get those people to play it, but then you get into it and it's a little more,
Right, and it also has to do with the characters that are using the language. Like, I forget the female Chantry member's name. Cassandra. You have this frame narrative, and we'll have to see how much of an impact that has on the game. But for a Chantry member to just bark out obscenities, it feels weird. Now, if it was Varric's the male dwarf telling the story, if it was him saying it, I could understand it. But the fact that it's coming out of like somebody, a noble Chantry member, and again, we're starting to get into lore here, and I mean, we're going to start talking like Star Trek.
It's out of context. It doesn't fit within the context of what the Chantry is. I mean, I didn't beat the first Dragon Age, but I played a good 50 hours of it. And I take a long time to play stuff, and I never would have ever imagined them to say that, because I mean, you even meet a member of the Chantry in the actual when you're inside Hawk's story, and I mean, he's all noble, and he's like, "Oh, I'm willing to give up my agenda right now just because we don't want to die, but later on I'm going to get you," and I don't see him later on going like, "Oh, BS."
Yeah, if she had just said like you lie, you louse, or something like that, I mean, that's
some sort of dwarf slur.
Yeah, but like that's better writing right there. So it feels weird. It really feels weird compared to the first game, and I hope that that's toned down and only kept on certain characters. Like I know Isabella. Is it Isabel or Isabella? I think it's Isabella.
Isabella, I think.
I know that she's supposed to be like a pirate and, a roguish pirate, and so I'm sure we're going to hear just wonderful, tasteful language out of her the whole game. But, let's see who it's associated with. Let's see where the language is coming from. But if everybody just starts, dropping swear words everywhere, it becomes meaningless. It feels off.
It seems like, they had the Marilyn Manson song in the advertising campaign for Dragon Age Origins, and it just seems like, like you guys can look that up on your own. We're not supposed to say it on the show, the name. But it seems like that aesthetic, that design, like heavy metal in the background, yeah, we're so hardcore, is kind of the route that they went for this. And it seems like it's trying to cater to that group of people who are gonna buy it on the Xbox, and they're gonna sit down and they're gonna be like, sweet warrior, dude, I'm gonna play as warrior, and I'm gonna hit X, and then they're gonna realize, maybe there's more to the game later. But it seems like they're trying to cater to that, console, and not to be PC gaming master race up in here, but it seems like it's such a
we are
console,
the master race.
It seems like such a console, like a bro console oriented game, and I mean there's that is pushing the stereotype a little, but it seems
I agree. I think tonally they've made it more like that, but I'm actually playing it right now on the PC again. I originally played on the console as a mage and on PC as a rogue, and I hate rogue. I know it looks cool, but I've never liked rogue. I play a mage in just about every game I play because I like shooting people with fire, and I'm playing it again now, and I really have to agree with Rob. I mean, it feels like the first Dragon Age, just like, on steroids. It's really fast, and I feel like it's just like they took the speed of the first one and jacked it up and just kind of made everything faster.
Yeah, I mean, right after I kill something, I immediately target something else. I'm like, okay, pause. All right, look at the battlefield. All right, attack him. Okay, pause. Attack him. Like, that's how I played Dragon Age 1, and so I'm kind of holding back when I'm playing as a mage, and I'm letting the warriors run up, and I'm kind of picking people apart in the back. So I don't really feel a huge difference other than the tonal shifts and little things like not being able to pull the camera back, the menu system being more streamlined, kind of getting rid of the Dragon Age sort of storybook aesthetic, which I'm a little upset about, but it's to make the game, A, look more like Mass Effect, to show some consistency between the two big BioWare franchises, and B, it's to make the combat look better because you don't have as much crap on the screen. Like the focus is squarely on the combat, and there's the hotkeys are very small. The item, I mean, some people didn't even notice that the hotkeys for like character inventory, that's all on the right hand side on the PC. You can press C and go straight to character.
There's the potions up on the minus and equals buttons, which I just it's good for them for throwing them in there for like the I don't even know, like I don't know, like that's, I never lift my hand off my mouse. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't notice them on the
I think they're on the hotbar.
Sorry,
they're on the
on the hotbar. So, but on the console version, it almost seems like it's just missing a big chunk of the interface because you don't have those hotkeys on the bottom and like the framing. I don't know. I don't like these new bars.
You don't like these new bars?
Yeah, these on the bottom left. Like the portraits being on the bottom left as opposed to top. I don't know. It's a stylistic thing, but.
Stylistically, I mean, the UI isn't anything impressive. It's very minimalist, and I think that's to keep the focus on the action. And that doesn't bother me. I mean, it's not aesthetically pleasing, but I'm focused on the action, so I really don't give a crap.
Mm.
So I don't mean to be sounding like a total defender here. I mean, but it just. Playing it on console scared the crap out of me. I was just like, oh dear. And then I played it on PC and I was like, okay, it's Dragon Age. It's got a tonal difference. Let's see where they go with the story. I mean, for all of our lauding of the Dragon Age 1 story, the origin story, it was fairly generic fantasy with cool bits, but there was a lot of like uniting against an evil dark force. We don't even know what the main story is with Dragon Age 2. They've kept it very well under wraps. So let's see where they go. Are we going to fight something that looks like it came out of Contra at the end of the game? Hopefully not. But, we'll see. We'll see.
Did you fight something that came out of Contra at the end of the first one?
That was a slam on Mass Effect 2.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. The final boss of Mass Effect 2 was awesome.
The final boss of Mass Effect 2 was awful.
Yeah.
I paused the game and just looked at it and went, really?
It didn't look like it came out of Contra. It was flat out of Terminator.
Oh, okay. That's much better.
It is much better. Terminator, all right. You know what?
Shut up. So I think we've kind of beaten. I mean, we shouldn't be passing too much judgment on this.
Oh, yeah, certainly. I mean, I'm Don't let me come off as a hater. Don't let Rob come off as, the fanboy, give a, it's, the game's not out yet. So I'm really excited to see what they do with the narrative, because they have kept that under wraps, and I think that's going to end up being like kind of awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I will tell you this much, that I did go from, I'm very excited for Dragon Age 2, but now I pretty much know that, it's another Dragon Age game. Like, my expectations have been tempered somewhat. Like, I'm not expecting the grand change between, like, Assassin's Creed 1 and Assassin's Creed 2, where it's like, the first game's kind of crappy, second game, amazing. Mm-hmm. But now I'm sitting here going, the door is wide open for The Witcher 2. The door is wide open for that thing to come out. I mean, even if Dragon Age 2 is great, and I think I'm going to enjoy it. Based on my time with the demo and my love of Dragon Age 1, I think I'm going to love it. But The Witcher 2 could turn out to be something really, really special, because BioWare kind of played it safe and released a game, at least on PC, that is extremely similar to the original game. So I went from kind of expecting that Dragon Age 2 was going to be my number one RPG love for this year, to kind of like, well, we got this, we got Radiant Historia, which we're going to talk about on the next podcast. I'm going to play the crap out of that this weekend just to get ready. So I think Dragon Age 2, I'm very excited. I'm a huge Dragon Age fan, but it's more Dragon Age, which is great. If you want more Dragon Age, on PC, it seems like you're getting more. But are they going to pull anything else out of their hat? I don't know yet. They've kept really quiet on the narrative, so I am interested.
Yeah, that's definitely what interests me most. I just booted up the demo again, and I was playing through the beginning bits as a mage. And yeah, so, like, everything that I did say, like, about it being, like, super, action-oriented, fast-paced, if you do pause it, it plays a lot like the original Dragon Age.
Yeah, see, nice. I was right.
Hey, I'm not saying.
I'm just giving you crap. I'm just giving you crap.
But yeah, I am looking forward to it. I won't be able to play it for, probably a good 6 months. That's the thing. I'm not going to be able to play, like, I looked at my backlog, and I don't think that I'm going to be able to play a lot of games until I graduate.
You're going to fail
for a full year. I will not be able. It's just it makes me a sad panda, because I love my video games. But
sad panda. So with that, I think maybe we should just do a short news section, and that way we can wrap up this special edition.
Great. Real quick on the newses.
Skyrim looks amazing.
All right. So yeah, Skyrim. There's I forgot to pull that up. There's a new Skyrim trailer. And I actually had that similar response when I watched it right before the show. So if you have not checked out the Skyrim trailer, find it somewhere on the go to find it somewhere on the internet. I'm sure it's all over now. And check that out, because it's got a surprising amount of what seems like in-engine footage, and it looks pretty. I'm worried that it's PC footage and that.
No, they said 360. They came out today and said that's 360 footage.
I'm impressed. Ooh. I'm thoroughly impressed then. Good for them, because they had some serious not depth of field, like level of detail issues on the what was it, on the Xbox version last time with Oblivion. Good
that's
for
what
them
they said.
For straightening that out. The combat looks, and like the movement, like you don't get a lot of it in the first person, but what they do give you kind of like of character animations, it looks like the animations for characters will be a lot nicer, which is good.
And like people won't look hideous.
Oh yeah, no. Like I'm actually really excited. I wasn't super excited because I wasn't a huge fan of just generally how Oblivion minus the Shivering Isles expansion kind of looked and played. But this I am now really excited for that game.
See, I'm not gonna lie. I think snowy areas are just my favorite in general, and I think the area that Oblivion takes place in Cyrodiil, and is just generic kind of fantasy, just because of that area. Because Bethesda is really, really consistent with like their world being, every area has its own unique culture and look. Like Morrowind looked visually a lot more diverse than Oblivion, and Skyrim is like the rocky mountainous area. And I think we're gonna get some really cool. Like, instead of, all just giant forests, kind of like Oblivion was, you're going to get, like, tundra, you're going to get mountains, you're going to get snowfields, and I think that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I love Oblivion. I love Fallout 3. Hate New Vegas, but it's the good guys working on it, so hopefully it'll be good. So,
see,
more news.
We've got there are a couple of PSN releases. Most importantly, though, Xenogears.
Oh boy,
Rob's favorite sewer section ever.
Oh God, that is the whale in my nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
Red Room?
Anyway,
Dude, I'm not even kidding you. When I first played Xenogears, like everyone was telling me, it has all the best story ever. I was playing it, and I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. And I got to the sewers, and I almost quit.
Yeah,
I was like, this is the most long, tedious, horrendous dungeon. But then again, I think the gameplay in Xenogears is pretty bad, so I think the story and the music make up for it.
I've never played it. Sorry.
I was going to say, you mean half the story, because the first disc is good.
I think the second half is better. I preferred when the game stopped making me actually play it and just started telling me the story.
All right, that's fair.
So that is now out on PSN. Play it on your PS3 or your PSP for $10. Yeah, I really need to get on some of these PSN Classic releases.
Yes, you do.
Because I have not played Final Fantasy IX. I'm kind of itching for a good Final Fantasy. Yeah, I know, right?
Well, Final Fantasy IX is probably one of my favorite Final Fantasies until the last 10 hours, where it does the standard Final Fantasy, let's take a swan dive, right onto concrete.
Yeah, but then you get to fly into a tree.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds so awesome.
It is awesome. Everything about Final Fantasy IX is awesome.
More on the Final Fantasy front. Final Fantasy Tactics, War of the Lions on the iPhone. Excuse me. I got these two swords mixed up. Final Fantasy Tactics War on the Lions is going to PSN. So that kind of rounds out. I think
just for PSP though. I can't play it on my PS3.
No. Yeah, sorry. This is the PSP game. Yeah, they'll do.
And I'd like to point out that Square Enix has been saying that it will fix the load times, but it will not. And I don't think they've said this, and I don't think they're going to. It will not fix in War of the Lions. They added this really obnoxious where you would cast a spell and your character would just kind of sit there for a second or two, and it made battles take minutes longer than they had to, and it will not be fixed by playing it off of the UMD. And I don't think they're going to really talk about that because it won't fix it.
Lovely.
But that's coming out on the Japanese PSN March 9th. I know it's coming out on the American PSN sometime soon, and then it's and the iOS version is still in development, hopefully sometime this spring. But another iOS game that Square Enix has announced is Final Fantasy III. Which I don't. Did you guys play the DS remake of Final Fantasy III?
I did, and then I got horrendously bored.
I had that same experience, but I think that for an iPhone game that could play pretty well. The graphics are slightly up res and seem to have a little bit of widescreen thing going on. They look a lot sharper, and the kind of grindy gameplay that comes with that territory, I think fits well for an iOS style game where you're kind of not much behind it thought wise, which is not necessarily a bad thing when you're on the go. So
and they'll probably adopt controls like Chaos Rings, where the analog stick just kind of appears wherever you put your finger. Because it's not very Twitch based. So
that'd be nice. So is that it for news?
We've got a couple more things. There's a new Sting game. They did the what is it? Department Heaven Games for the PSP, a strategy RPG called Gungnir.
I think we need to mention something in the news, or else
no,
Steven's
that's all.
going to
That's
hurt
all.
us.
No, I'm just kidding. Telltale. Final news story of the day. Telltale Games, the people who have done the Sam and Max remakes and the Back to the Future games, and I'm trying to think. I have a whole bunch of their games just on Steam. They did the Bone games, and they did the Wallace and Gromit games. They have a whole bunch of games. You should check them out. They're pretty good. They've announced a whole bunch of new games, actually. So they've got Back to the Future coming to the PSN and iOS. fairly soon. So that's pretty good. I don't. You're really gonna hate me for is that I don't know what the theme song is.
Oh, you young
I don't know.
bastard.
I'm assuming. I'm hoping it was Back to the Future. Cause
Rob. Wait. What? Okay, never mind.
What?
Go ahead,
Child.
Zach.
Yeah, sorry. So Back to the Future, PSN, iOS. King's Quest reboot. So this is Steven. It's a game that you like.
It's not a game that I like. It's a series that everybody likes, and if you don't, you have bad taste.
Damn.
I'll have to.
Didn't I get censored on the podcast for that at one point? I think I did.
Maybe.
No, you said that people, if you like Final Fantasy 13, you have impaired judgment.
I stand by that statement.
And that was because we had 3 reviews up that said it was a good game.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so there's new King's Quest coming. Then a couple of other smaller releases. They're continuing the Hector Badge of Carnage series, which I haven't had the chance to play on the iOS, and I think they're doing PC and Mac as well. And then there's also Jurassic Park, which I don't.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure. Oh, that's what that came.
That was the reference.
Okay,
Zach. That was the reference.
Sure. I kind of was like, maybe it's Jurassic Park, but maybe it's also Back to the Future, because I just did not grow up in the 80s, and I've seen those movies about once in each.
I was born in 1987, and I know it.
Yeah, I was born in 1984, and I know it.
Good for you, kiddos.
Oh, yeah,
Wait,
kiddos.
have you not seen Back to the Future?
I have seen it once.
Oh, my
Zach.
God.
How many? All 3 of them?
No, the first one.
What?
What?
Zach, I am revoking your nerd card.
I'm just saying.
You don't even need. You get your person card revoked for that.
I'm just gonna wither away and die.
American citizenship gone.
Aw, man.
You are now part of the Axis of Evil.
Back to the Future is the 80s.
Yes, it is.
And I don't come from the 80s.
Don't need money.
So you should.
Don't need fame.
It's not even on.
Don't need no card to ride this train.
I don't know. I have a lot of movies that is just like culturally I need to. But I think that's
we're getting goofy now. So thank you everybody.
Sorry.
You done?
Yeah, I'm just done.
I think we made him done.
I think we've learned never to do a midweek podcast ever again.
I think we're done.
Yeah, I think we're done. Okay. Thank you everybody for listening.
I'm pretty sure we're done.
Can we Zach.
Sorry.
Thank you everybody for listening to the special edition about Dragon Age. We're probably going to have another episode where we'll talk a lot about Radiant Historia, and then we'll have the big Dragon Age 2 like conference call of doom. But that we're gonna wait a while until after the game's been out for a pretty good amount, like maybe a week or two, just so we can really tear into it and really have a good solid discussion about it. So thanks again. Thanks for all your support. Thank you for subscribing on iTunes, for downloading the podcast, and for keeping the message boards going. Really appreciate it, guys. And thanks again.